Got it bad, got it bad. Woo. Innovate the flow, you can't mimic it. Sound never dies, echo unlimited. Promo rhyme, y'all high school scrimmaging, part futuristic.
All right, I've got with me today Dan and Arson from the band Gangstagrass, and I'm so happy to have them with me today. They've got a new album coming out, No Time for Enemies, and it's a fantastic album. There really could not be much of a better album to be released at this particular time. Just tell me a little bit about how this idea came together for the hip hop bluegrass fusion.
Quite honestly, the whole thing was the child of one of the other members, our commander-in-chief, Wrench the Mastermind. Wrench has been he grew up in Oklahoma. His parents were from Oklahoma. He grew up in Cali, so he was, very much influenced as a kid with a lot of, country music and bluegrass and honky tonk and that sort of thing. And came up in Cali around when hip hop was really starting to blow up. So the two sort of became his, he was kind of smashed in between them coming up, right? So when he started making music and producing music and stuff, he always had a good feel for both of them. And even when he was producing for hip hop cats and was like, yo, some fiddle or some pedal steel would sound really dope here. And a lot of people weren't really into it. So he was like, all right, I'll do it myself. You know what I'm saying? And, he had a hip hop honky tonk band for a while called Battlestar America with the other MC in the band, Dolio the Sleuth. And then he moved on to Gangstagrass, and, Dolio and I had known each other for years, so when Wrench wanted to go on tour, he reached out to me and, introduced me to Wrench and the whole project, and it was really fluid. Like, I met him on a Wednesday, did a show in Philly, and then I hopped in the van with him, and we came down to North Carolina and did 3 shows that weekend.
And Dan and Arson, I've got you guys as 2 of the 5 members, and I guess I should say, because you're tossing some names out, and let's kind of formally introduce the other 3. And also, so Arson, you're a vocalist. Yeah. Dan, you play banjo and vocals, but kind of tell us about the other members of the group.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Danjo. My name's Dan. I play the banjo. So that's how that came about. And Arson is one of the 2 MCs with the group right now. The other one being Dolio the Sleuth. And then in addition to myself, you also have Brian Farrow playing the fiddle and singing. And then in the middle of all of that, so we got 2 MCs, we've got 2 bluegrass instrumentalists, and then Wrench, the guy who put this all together, plays guitar, sings, writes a bunch of the songs, produces the tracks, puts the beats together, and then is controlling the beats usually when we're playing live. So that's pretty much the whole outlay at the moment. And we've performed with a number of different people. We'll have different instrumentalists through the years, as well as different MCs, and certainly a whole bunch of features and guests. So what exactly the band looks like minute to minute may change, but that's kind of the whole fundamental idea. Is you've got a bluegrass band and you've got a full hip hop outfit. That's the whole thing. And
it seems like there's been a little bit, and I know you guys have been around for a while, and I know you did the theme song way back, what was it, like 2010 or something, to Justified. Yeah. And a couple of you guys were nominated for an Emmy for that. Long Hard Times to Come was the name of that song. That's the theme song for that show, which was on FX. So I know you guys have been around for a while, and so kind of getting back to what you were just saying, Dan, do you guys consider yourself to be sort of a 5-piece band, or do you kind of consider yourself to be a little bit more of a collective?
I think it depends on how you think about it and who you ask.
I like the term collective. If you right now you look at us as like a very cool Voltron, 5 lions sort of thing. But if you remember, there was another Voltron that was made up of like 15 different vehicles. Right. So we could be either Voltron depending on when you find us. But yeah, I do like the term collective because we are able to bring in, usually if it's just the 5 of us, we are able to bring in just about anybody. And we've had, we've done shows with G Love, We've done shows with Smith and Wesson. They've been on a couple of the albums. Kool Keith was on the first album. There's just the ability to bring in just about anybody, any really talented cat. On our last album, American Music, the last song on there, we had 14 different people spitting bars on it.
Right.
Yeah.
We are a band that has a collective that we carry around in our backpack just in case we need to add pieces on.
I get
Yeah. Yeah.
and you guys, it's been a little while since you put out your last album that you were just talking about, and then No Time for Enemies, which is, what's the release date on that?
August 14th.
All right, August 14th, coming up very quickly. And you guys dropped a video for Freedom on Juneteenth. And first of all, just tell me a little bit about that. Well, let me first say about this album, which it's one of those I've probably listened about a half dozen times now. And at the end of every time I listen, I have a different favorite song, you know, and I think Freedom was probably my first favorite song on it. If you had to ask me right now, it would probably be Ride With You.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but it's like I said, every time it changes, I'm like, no, I like, you know, this song, or I like that song. Your Land, you know, it's like, that's a great song. So Affirmative, that's a great song. So it kind of changes, but Freedom, obviously a powerful song, powerful message. And the video that all came out as a fantastic package on Juneteenth. Just tell me a little bit about the song, video, and the timing of releasing it on Juneteenth.
And our son's got to take that one, because really putting the video together, this is very much kind of his, I want to say, like his personal thing.
For years, for decades, for centuries, we have struggled and fought and bled and died for this. What we ain't gonna do is wait.
We weren't going to put Freedom out. It wasn't on the list of what we were going to put out, right?
Right.
And then stuff happened. And it became not only, you know, something that we should put out, but something that we had to. And then the video idea just kind of popped into my head. Like, you know, let's do something. We got to do something for this. And so I reached out to a buddy of mine, one of the guys that actually got me started rhyming in '95. Cat I went to Penn State with, named Shanti, and he's doing graphic design, all that kind of stuff, and visuals and such. And he and I just started throwing ideas together. And you know, we found video clips, and I reached out to a bunch of different people. Everybody's heads that you see in the video, most of those people are friends of mine. Randall Wyatt, that's on the album. He's on there. The guy that shot some of our other videos, that shot our videos for the stuff we did for the mixtape, Lawrence Arnell, he's in it. Alexa Gold is in it. She's on my album. Like, these are all friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And they all sent me in videos real quick, and we put the whole thing together in about 2 weeks. But it was important to do something, to say something, and putting it out on Juneteenth. It was just an extra thing. It was like, all right, you know what, this all just has to fit here.
Mm-hmm.
And it came together better than I thought it would, to be totally honest. And
That was
I'm really
fantastic,
proud of the
man.
whole thing. Really, really proud of the whole thing and all the work that everybody did it. That song, we had recorded that song in January?
I think so. Yeah.
We started writing it last year. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Yeah.
something that, you know, all of this sort of created. This is the kind of stuff we've been doing for some time. And, you know, somewhere there's a video that a guy took of us in Chicago, sitting out back of a hotel, just putting the whole thing together. Just
Writing it, yeah.
along, writing the whole thing and rehearsing it and seeing how it was gonna form together.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and exactly what you're saying, Arson, is that, you know, the song feels like it was just written this month, you know,
Right.
but you've got so much going on right now with, you know, Black Lives Matter. It's an election year. The situation, obviously in Minneapolis, but across the country with police, COVID-19, Confederate monuments. I would add to just the capitalistic nature of our society in the pressures that are within that. So your song, which was written before things really sort of blew up recently, I mean, this stuff's been going on for a long time. And you could have written this song 10 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago.
That's exactly right. And there's a lot of songs, of course, that were written 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago.
Right.
And, you know, those are good too. And that's one of my favorite things about doing bluegrass hip hop. I come from more of a bluegrass side, but like we get to look into all of that older material, the older traditional stuff. And there's a lot there. Like we just, you know, we're doing that Woody Guthrie song. We just celebrated the 80-year anniversary of that song. That's an old song. It is still absolutely relevant, and it was something that we really liked working with. Of course, maybe we modernized it a little bit, we updated it, you know, because you got to do that too. But you know, all this stuff is still relevant. And Arson, if you want to talk a little bit about, for people who haven't seen it, the rest of the video, because part of it is we got some of our friends involved, but the rest of it is basically like a, you know, a good like 300-year history.
Yeah, it's like
really brief history.
Yeah, a really brief history, and it we decided that we wanted to do the video to sort of take you through time a little bit. And so obviously there's not a lot of video of slavery, not a lot. But you know, there had to be something to sort of take you on that journey, to show you some of that. There had to be something to take you on a lot of that civil rights journey, to show you some of that, and you know, a couple of modern pieces in there, and so on and so forth, and really showing you that how much of it has not changed. You know what I mean? And one of the things that you heard a lot of particularly during the civil rights movement, was that people wanted too much too quickly, and that, you know, you had to wait. And, you know, we got to the point where we're like, no, there is no more wait. Like, waiting has cost us so much, cost us all so much. And so now there's no more time for that. We cannot do that. We can't wait it.
Yeah.
You know, we're particularly right now, if we're going to get through a global pandemic, the idea that we're still stuck on a lot of this really ancient stuff is not going to help that at all. It's not going to help us get through all of that at all. And so we have to get past all of this old stuff so we can deal with this new stuff way better than we are.
Yeah, and that comes back kind of to the album title too, which came about really organically. Like we were just Randy was doing one of our regular Twitch live streams, which we do on our channel over at Gangstagrass.tv, and he was just talking about how, you know, about all this stuff about how there isn't really time to waste on you know, we have really important things that we need to get done in our country, and you can't get hung up on things anymore. We've got to solve this stuff, and we've got to do it now. And at one point he said, we just, you know, I don't have any time for enemies. I have no time for enemies. And I lashed onto that, and I said, you know what? I think you just said the title of the album. I think that's it.
Yeah, it hadn't even crossed my mind. I was just talking.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me a little bit about the video and the song Ain't No Crime, and kind of where that fits into the whole thing that's going on in the world and in the album as well.
And so Ain't No Crime was just, we were coming up with just stuff for the album, and, you know, looking for different sorts of inspiration. And I was listening to some Outkast, and their song Bombs Over Baghdad. Mm-hmm. And just that song, man, there's so much happening. It's so just like, there's so much energy to it. It's just so much happening, and it's all over the place. And you got the choir in the background, and it's just fantastic stuff. And I wanted something with that kind of energy. And so we're putting the thing together. And I forget, was it you that came up with the idea that we're like, what if we just drop like to half of the tempo?
It might have been me. I was into it, and it was all just like so on the fly. Like, you know, we were just calling things out as we thought of them, and it was very similar to the way that we put Freedom together, I think, because it was very much collaborative. I don't remember if it was, you know, what idea I personally had, but we were just all going back and forth and just saying, yeah, and we'll drop it down, and then we'll build it back up, and then there'll just be a section of, and we'll just sing, and we'll have like brass hits, you know, just go in a completely different direction for part of it. And I mean, I don't want to give it all away if people haven't heard it yet, but like, you know, the ending, like every part of it, I just, you know, I feel like we all wanted it to be like, it's got to have something next. Like it's got to just keep going, keep having fun, you know, and that's a big part of it too.
And the speed of the rap in that song is amazing. It's like, holy cow, that's
You know, the funny
that
part is,
seems
I
very
usually don't.
difficult.
When I wrote that verse, I had it ready to record, and it was a lot slower.
Mhm.
And then, as you know, with the beat tempo came, I was like, all right, let me see if I can work this. Can I do this? Yeah, all right, I think I can do this. All right, cool. I've gotten better at that. I've gotten better with. I really, honestly, have a hard time rhyming slow. Dolio just nails that when we drop the beat. He just rides it really, really smooth. I
Right.
can't do that.
It's a funny thing because like we've had this conversation, our son and I have had this conversation about, because I'm the banjo player, so like I'm, you know, you think about bluegrass banjo, like there's a lot of like, you know, lightning fast licks out there, right? Like a lot of hot picking. And there's also people that would say, well, sure, you can play fast, but if you can play really well slow, like that's the real thing. And then other people would just say, nah, man, you got to crank that up. You just got to go as fast as possible. And you know, we get to, with this one song, we get to play with that whole time dynamic, and we get like the fast and the slow, and it's interesting. And you know, it's not always going to be like the deepest thing. Like if we're having to go so fast that like we don't necessarily pack it full of like a whole lot of deep meaning, you know, on every single track, but
No, not
that's
every.
okay though. That's okay.
Yeah.
You got to have fun too.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about. I know you guys, obviously, if you listen to the music, are very socially conscious. You guys, and this whole show is supposed to be about kind of activism and social change. And I know you guys have supported a lot of organizations and causes over the years. Just give me a little bit about an idea of where you guys are, either individually, the two of you, or collectively as a band, sort of
Yeah.
what you've supported over the years.
Well, that's one of the best things about this group, is that it is comprised of individuals, and you know, just listening to the music is such a great example of that. Like I'm just bringing in the banjo that I play normally, and our son's just rapping the way that he does, and you know, we bring in our individual identities, and that, I think that applies to a lot of what we do. That we're not, you know, we're all staying true to who we are individually, but we also, like, you know, we listen to each other, we learn a lot, and I think we have a lot of agreement. I just wanted to mention one organization in particular that we're thinking about a lot right now is Protect the Heroes, which is at protecttheheroes.org. And they're getting PPE, personal protective equipment, to hospitals and caregivers that are in need, which, you know, I hate that is still a thing, right? I hate that we still have to be doing that, but we do. And that's just something that, you know, we can ignore it or pretend it's not happening. But there are organizations that are really helping with that problem right now. So I just wanted to mention them specifically, but you know, but it's a lot of stuff too. Arson?
Quite honestly, my thing has always been, as you can see in the back over there, I'm a Superman guy, right? I'm a comic book dude, have been my whole life, and has been less about organizations personally, and more about talking to individuals and the way that they see the world, right? And the way that, you know, as you're going out into the world, what is it you're doing? You know, as you see the issues in the world, what are the things that you're doing on an individual basis to try and make any of that better? And I mentioned my good buddy Lawrence Arnell, who's in the video, in the Freedom video. He's actually a cop here in Philly, and I come from a family of Philadelphia cops. And you know, in the midst of all of the discussions of you know, defunding and so on and so forth, you know, you also have to make the realization that there are people out here that don't have everyone's best interest at heart. Mm-hmm. What are you doing to have other people's best interest at heart? What are you doing that would make you individually a superhero? Like what's in your head, what's in your heart, and what are you doing to make any of that change that you think is necessary happen?
Yeah.
So
And
that's where I am.
And of course that's kind of assuming that you value that. It's assuming that people want to be making the world better for other people.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at that point, like that comes back to saying, look, if you're not even on board for that, we have no time for you.
Yeah.
We just
No
don't have
time.
any time to even address
No.
that. Like we have to, like, if we're working with you, we got to assume that you're on board, that you want to make the world better for other people. And then just starting from that, say, 'cause that's cool. So what are you doing? How are you doing that?
Going back to your album, you guys have 11 songs with some powerful messages. I mean, what do you hope the listener takes away after listening to 11 Gangstagrass songs?
I think a big thing that people take away a lot of the time is just, wait, you can do bluegrass and hip hop together at the same time, and like you don't get arrested by the music police or something. And honestly, like that's a low bar, but that's where we start with so many people for the first time. They're just like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, okay, you can actually do a lot of things. And maybe it's that idea of like, if you didn't know you could do this, like what else did you not know that you could do? Like, what if there's other ways that you could bring people together? And what if some of the separation in our world right now is actually artificial? You know, just understanding that on a basic level, maybe that helps you. You don't have to start a bluegrass hip hop band. You know, that might not be what you do, but maybe you could go talk to somebody you didn't even realize you could talk to.
And as I said, kind of at the beginning of the show, there seems to be more acceptance of those kind of fusions. And I have to ask you this because my wife told me to ask you, and if I don't, she will not be happy. What are your thoughts on things such as Hamilton, and even things like I don't know if you guys know, like, you know, Postmodern Jukebox, who does all these covers of songs and kind of retro styles and things. But Hamilton, especially since he's the Hamilton freak, you know, what do you guys think about kind of that fusion of music that is happening now? And it's something that you guys obviously have been doing for a while.
Lin-Manuel Miranda got bars. That dude can spit. And for me, at the end of the day, if you're going to claim hip hop at all, and you are able to perform in any of the elements, cool. If you're good at what you do, cool. I'm with you 100%. And Hamilton, those dudes can write. They got bars. Like, all right, cool. I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. And that for me is the thing. Like if you're gonna do it and you're gonna claim it, fine. But you have to be good at what you're doing. You have to be good at it. And if you don't, cool. Well
and
done.
you could compare that with, like, I don't know if anybody saw Bright Star, the musical that Steve Martin and Edie Brickell wrote a couple years back, around the same time, I guess. And you know, it's got a great banjo part. I played in it a little bit, and you know, just on the level of, is this good music? Is this what it is? Yeah, it is. I think there's obviously a lot of larger questions with Hamilton. It's sort of a huge show right now. It's kind of unique in that. And, you know, like Daveed Diggs is great.
Yeah,
he's a great performer, and his part is great. You know, it's well written. Jefferson owned slaves. So, you know, there's a lot of complex, like the way that people are viewing this show and thinking like, all right, cool. I think Daveed Diggs is cool. I guess Thomas Jefferson's cool. Well, let's slow down on cool, going all the way to cool. But the show is, you know, it's a good piece of entertainment, and it might be asked to do more than it can do, honestly, because it's art, and people are going to read all sorts of different things into it time to time. I mean, I remember I went and I saw it, you know, like shortly like right before Obama was going to leave the White House. And you're watching the guy who plays George Washington. I forget his name, but he's terrific. He's kind of an unsung. He's one of the better guys in the original cast.
Right.
And it's such a terrific original cast too. And you watch him sing one last time, and you're in the moment, you're reading into it, and you're like, oh man, this must be how Obama is feeling at the end of his term. Like there must be some, you could read that into it, but you take it into a different context, and there's so many ways that you can interact with art. So I just feel like, you don't want to make any kind of grand pronouncements about it, other than what Arson just said, which is, well, is it legitimate hip hop? Yeah. Which absolutely it is.
Right.
Anything Black Thought's going to be involved in, I'm like, all right, cool. It's dope.
But before we go, should we test Arson's skills a little bit here? Should we?
I think we should. I don't know if you want to just throw out a couple. Arson, the voice of reason, happens to be one of the greatest freestyle MCs in the world. Certainly on this call. And I don't know, Tim, if you got what's it? Can you just straighten up for a second? Now, just bear in mind, Arson hasn't seen the whole shirt until right at this moment.
There you go. It's
is that one bitter Southerner?
Yeah, it's the bitter Southerner.
Bitter Southerner. Okay. All right.
Cool.
So check this out. All right. Look, I spit vitamin verses for healthier bars. Negro League rap, Philadelphia stars. Maybe what I do is I'll get wealthy, but nah. I hope everybody here is checking for y'all. See, I'm giving you action, chilling with Tim Jackson. My man Dan Joe is giving you satisfaction when he plays the strings. We gonna say some things Hamilton style when the freedom rings, and I bring you that newness. Watch how I do this. Please don't be foolish. I need y'all to check it. Go home, relax, and play some more records. I'm loving you, even if you're one bitter Southerner. Ain't no one that's above the kid other than these things. And when I get down, Dan plays on these strings. He gives you the banjo. My man is Danjo with flavor like a mango, so dang tasty. Come and face me, stand in my lights. Put it on together, put down the highlights. Recognize that none of this is stuff that I write, but I might, because that first line was kind of dope. Your man, Arson, the voice of reason, the people's hope.
I'm not going to follow that. I'm sorry. It's done. It's over.
That's fantastic. All right. I guess he is the best on this call.
Undisputed.
I mean, I was thinking maybe I could. No, I can't. So, well, I definitely appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time out of your day, talking to me. The album's fantastic. I'm going to link to the album, your website, the videos, all that's going to be below in the description here. And I wish you the very best of luck with that album coming out. No Time for Enemies comes out August 14th. Everybody should buy it. I mean, if you've got to stream it, okay, but buy it if you at all can. Support local musicians at this time. And thank you guys so much for showing up and talking to me and being who you are. I mean, it's a lot of strong messages that come out of your music, and we appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Tim. We really appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Take care, guys.
No doubt.
Last night I saw a bright red comet in the sky. I asked for its purpose and it gave me a reply. It said, soon come the day master dies, but first you must prepare. Keep our eyes on the prize through the beat of the drum, the light of the fire. We decide to be as free as a bird when it flies, so we ready every axe, sharpen every knife, get our people inside ready and willing to take a life. There'll be none worth saving, soon done slaving, but now we must prepare as usual while we making our plan to reach the promised land of liberation, breaking the chains before the beast them awaken. Watching the houses ablaze before they cave in. No more will I please till the sky be forsaken. All praises due, there'll be much celebration. Plantation will be gone by the day's end.
I ain't gonna wait no more.